When Tidus was a very young dog, when he was a puppy and his early stages in life, Tidus experienced 4 seizures, and at the time we went through different tests and we took him to the emergency room and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Everything seemed like it was fine, and the last seizure he had was when he was about 4 years old.
It's been a while.
Yeah, quite a long while.
So it happened about a month ago. It was around 11 p.m. or 12 midnight before going to bed. I took him outside to go do his business, and he just fell over and started to have a seizure. And as soon as that happened, I just picked him up and brought him inside to try to figure out what's happening. And we just had to right away take him to the vet, to the emergency vet hospital. It was pouring rain as soon as we started driving, and
I was in the back of the car with Tidus and trying to calm down his seizures and
see if he was still breathing.
He was still breathing, but he was breathing very rapidly, and it took us about 15 minutes or so to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
Driving really fast in a rainstorm, and that was quite dangerous itself, but we made it to the hospital, and they wouldn't allow us in to the ER, to the emergency room, which is ridiculous. And it took under 10 minutes, and
we were on the phone with them. They were trying to tell us what was happening. They had to do emergency CPR.
Yeah.
And after that happened, they called us back and they said he was gone.
Under 10 minutes, he was gone. The vet asked us if we wanted to cremate Tidus or what we want to do, but immediately it didn't feel right. It was so hard to process. It's something that we didn't even get to think about at all because it was so shocking and so unexpected. But we felt that the best thing to do is to we didn't know how, but we wanted to lay him to rest ourselves with dignity and love.
When they said, when they asked us if we wanted to cremate him, it just felt kind of like a conveyor belt process, you know.
And we felt that Tidus deserved so much more than that we wanted to lay him to rest ourselves and give him the love and dignity that he deserves. And we wanted to take him home. We just wanted to take him home.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We took him home in the middle of the night. We decorated his bed, where his favorite spot where he used to like sleeping during the daytime. We decorated it with candles and deer ornaments because Tidus loved deer. And we all cried, and the girls and Nikolai were sniffing him and smelling him. And we allowed ourselves to really feel and go through the experience for all of us. And Tidus began his forever sleep in his favorite spot that he used to like sleeping at home. It was really difficult to go to sleep that night.
Yeah, I don't think we went to sleep until 3 or 4 in the morning. It was hard to sleep.
Yeah, it was hard to fall asleep. And we could see that the girls were extremely sad. And the next morning, when we woke up, I felt as if Tidus was telling me that we need to put him to rest that day. Like that's the day that he needs to go to rest. But we spent the whole morning with him, and the girls kept taking turns laying next to him, and we had a bed next to him. We put a bed there, and they smelled him, and he was just sleeping so peacefully, and it was so hard to believe that he's actually gone. He just looked like a sleeping angel surrounded with candles, and it was just letting go. It was just so hard to even imagine. Yeah, it was extremely important for us, for the girls and for Nikolai, for all of us to mourn him and see him and feel him because we felt that if we didn't do that, then they would always look for him and not know.
If we didn't go through this process, we would just end up going into a downward spiral of sorrow, and we would probably get depressed for a little while. So we had to experience this period of mourning.
Yeah, and go through it together with all of them. All of them had to feel it instead of just ripping the family apart. And we took Tidus in a rush and in panic, and them not seeing him be back, they would probably always look for him and not knowing what happened.
Yeah.
We felt that was extremely important. And then a little bit later, our closest friends, who are more like family, they really loved Tidus too. And they came over and mourned Tidus too. And actually our friends lost their bear. You know, we call Tidus our bear. They had their own bear, white polar bear. Beautiful, sweet dog who also passed away not too long ago. And it felt like we were mourning both of our bears together.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a really rough month.
We decided to lay him to rest in a piece of land where we're going to live soon. It's not too far from where our house is going to be.
So we can come visit him and he can be close to us, to all of us. And Tidus used to love wading in the creek. That was one of his favorite things.
He used to love the rivers and getting wet
water.
and swimming. So there's a creek not too far from where Tidus is. It's beautiful here. And you can hear the crickets and the birds.
It's a beautiful, large ponderosa tree.
So this is the perfect
Right here.
spot for Tidus.
That's what we feel like he really deserved, and we feel like we made a really good decision that gave us comfort in this process. And our friends, our close friends, that day we put Tidus in the car with the rest of the pups and drove to this piece of land where we're sitting right here. We picked this spot together, and then JC and our male friend,
We started digging a place for Tidus
by hand.
with shovels.
Yeah,
We just figured that's the most honorable way to do it, you know, with our bare hands.
there's this process of mourning and feeling and experiencing when a loved one passes away, and it hit me that day that part of this mourning and part of the healing and the recovery has to be where we participate in the burial and we are part of that process. I feel like that's the way you can ultimately eventually get closure, versus just having someone else doing these things for us. I feel like there would have been a huge hole in our hearts forever if we weren't the one, if JC wasn't the one digging the resting site, if we weren't experienced. It took him hours with our friend. I took care of the girls that day mostly, but it was such an honorable way, and you get to cry and you get to mourn and you get to miss and you get to love and you get to appreciate and cherish, and all of that would not be possible if we just outsource those things. It's so important to go through that, and it was a really big lesson for us forever.
Yeah, it feels like we're a part of Tidus's eternal peace.
Yes, we did this. We together did this, and our close friends were here and helping us through that day. We will never forget their generosity and kindness that day. They actually they brought us a very sweet gesture that I was sitting that morning and wishing that I had that, but they brought us something where we can print Tidus's paw.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought it for us, and now we have Tidus's paw print
On a mold.
on a mold, and we'll paint it and all of that. But they helped us so much throughout that entire day, and I don't know if we would have made it without them, to be honest.
Yeah, they were a really big part of this.
Yeah, I'll forever be grateful for them. We, after the resting site was completed and dug, we made a bed for Tidus, a plushy bed from all of the fur that we had collected from shedding season, the past 2 shedding seasons. So we made a bed for Tidus with all the fur from the Husky squad, and we wrapped him in a simple white sheet. This way he can become naturally part of nature again. We wrapped him in that white sheet, and we made him a crown of pine cones from this big pine cone tree behind Ponderosa pine behind us. So we made a nice crown around his head. Our friends brought for Tidus a meaty bone, and we put it between his paws because he loved meaty bones. So we put that between his paws so he can have it with him forever. And then we had to say goodbye. As we were placing these rocks from the creek to make Tidus's resting spot and completing it, we suddenly saw a large eagle taking flight right above us, right above our heads, and circling high above multiple times, and eventually just flew off into the mountains right in front of us. It was quite an incredible sight and hard to explain how that felt, but
it's almost like it happened at the right time, at the right place. In the following days, we took the girls and Nikolai hiking again, and it didn't feel the same. It definitely felt like something was missing, and
they just generally became so sad and
the girls
depressed.
The girls did not look happy hiking. It just seemed like empty. There was no color. It's like, imagine just seeing everything in black and white. That's how it felt.
But seeing the girls mourn like that was so hard. They started moving so slow, and food time was not even exciting for them, and they slept a lot and kind of like just their face to the ground and not interested in anything, not making eye contact, and it became extremely concerning for us to see them go through that. But it had to come a point where if we're gonna let it continue for all of us.
It was really starting to affect us. There was no motivation.
And then we slowly started finding our strength, and we were also, because of all the other life chaos we were going through, we were forced to start focusing on doing things that we had to get done.
Just had to keep our mind busy with things.
And that and the girls saved us all, because we couldn't see. It almost felt like if we're not gonna pull ourselves together, that the health of the girls and our own was gonna start deteriorating rapidly, mentally and physically. So we had to start focusing on Tidus's good memories, and when we felt like crying, just let ourselves cry and let ourselves mourn, but also focusing on healing and getting better, and trying to remember the good things and the amazing life that Tidus had.
Yeah.
And that we were lucky to share with him. Our furry kids never live long enough. It doesn't matter how long they would live, it would still feel like their life is too short. But we had to start focusing on Tidus's memories, and just knowing that Tidus lived a beautiful life with us, full of adventure, and besides the seizures he had when he was really young, and the ACL injuries that he conquered. He lived an amazing life with good health and incredible adventures, and he loved his life and his family, and we will never forget him. He's going to be forever in our hearts, forever in their hearts. I know they remember him too. As soon as we got here today, they still remembered him.
Yeah.
And he's forever going to be part of us. Tidus loved his life. He loved adventure, the great outdoors. He loved his raw food, his furry family, all his furry kids together. He loved hiking so much. One of the things that I'll never forget is when we used to go hiking, we would get to a viewpoint, or he would find a viewpoint. He would just stand out there and look out and admire and seek out animals and just be in awe of everything he sees.
Yeah, actually he was the one that would always detect anything that's happening in our surroundings. He would smell. His sense of smell was incredible. His hearing was amazing. If there was a wild animal nearby, he would know. He would be the first one to know.
He was very protective of us too.
He would also sense people.
Yeah, good people or so people. He was
very picky with humans.
Yeah, he detected very easily who he allowed into the family. And he was just incredible, goofy, sweet, so affectionate. Whenever we would give him cuddles, and we would stop, he would want more of it, especially with you. If you would stop cuddling him, he would kind of like slap you.
He never had enough.
He loved playing, and he loved howling so deeply with his entire heart. It was a deep, soulful howl. He wouldn't howl often, but when he did, it was so soulful. And then at home, there was only one toy that he would like.
His favorite toy?
Yeah, the push toy. You guys may remember this from our stories or...
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah, that was his favorite push toy. He was the only dog I've ever known or know to date that pushes a toy versus squeaking it. We even took it with him in the pool. Tidus loved swimming. We always joked that he was like a golden retriever or a lab in a husky coat because he really loved swimming so much. We started swimming when he had the ACL injury. That was part of his recovery. But he loved it more than the girls. He really enjoyed swimming. And we really wanted to take him swimming this year in a lake. That was one of our summer plans for him. But we couldn't make it. Didn't make for him to swim. But he did have a really nice last winter season. Tidus loved the snow. He was the king of the tundra, we always say. This boy would lay out in a snowstorm. That's his favorite time, and not want to come in the house because it's storming.
Yeah. He loved making snow angels.
Yeah. I don't even know if we ever caught him on camera doing it. We may have. Una likes doing them too, but Tidus loved making snow angels. He would come out in the morning after waking up and there's fresh powder. And the first thing he would do is just dive his head down into the snow and roll himself into fresh powder. And this place where he's resting now, he's gonna have snow every winter. But he had an amazing life. He loved camping. He loved the campfire, steak by the fire. He loved sleeping in the tent with us and getting his morning cuddles. Adventure was his favorite thing in the world. And we really enjoyed Europe with him. He got to hike the Swiss mountains and alpine trails, and Tidus will forever be our family, our deepest love, the most gentle and sweet and kindest dog we've ever known. And he is going to live on with us, with all of us, for always. He took our hearts with us forever. This experience it's never gonna go away, it's never gonna get better, but we're going to do our best to focus on living with his beautiful memories and knowing that we're so honored to have shared his life with us, and that we got to be his Papa and Mama Wolf and his family, and that he's gonna live forever with us in our hearts, and he's gonna be close to home always. This video was extremely difficult for us to create, but we also know how much you all loved him too, and that he's part of your lives too. It took us about a month to even be able to talk about this video, because every time we would even talk about it, we would start crying again. So this was extremely difficult, but we felt like we really wanted to share him with you, and so we can all experience this together and allow you to mourn and be part of this, because we know how much you all love Tidus too. It's amazing what a little runt of the litter, discarded puppy that was deemed not valuable enough, that he became such a powerful force in our lives and had such an impact on everyone, on all of you around the world. Such a powerful force of good and amazing things and amazing energy that's spreading everywhere, and it's never gonna change. And for that, we're extremely grateful for Tidus, for everything he has brought to our lives and to all of you. It all began with him.
Yep, if it wasn't for Tidus, things would be completely different today for us.
And we don't know how that would have been. Tidus is not with us here anymore physically. His heart, his mind, and his spirit is always going to live on with us and with all of you. So we're going to create something very special for Tidus that you all can be part of. We're going to take these rocks here, that's by Tidus's resting spot, and engrave any of your names or your dog's names that love Tidus and want to be part of this. And another thing we're thinking about is Tidus used to love sleeping under our giant maple tree when we lived in Wisconsin. That was his favorite spot. He used to love to sleep. So we're going to find Tidus the most beautiful large maple tree.
Well, we're gonna plant a baby maple tree, and then
The biggest one that we could find, but a baby one.
And it'll just grow here next to Tidus.
So he'll have a tree forever, and he'll sleep by his tree forever. So we're planning to do that. And another thing that we're thinking about is we're going to create a memoir with beautiful photos of Tidus from his entire life, from when he was just a little runt and a baby, all the way till his last amazing snow season that he had. And any of you that want to can leave a infinity candle on Tidus's memoir, and your notes there, and some other things that we're thinking about. We'll leave everything on huskysquad.com, and I'll leave a link here that you can go check that out for any one of you who want to be part of Tidus's forever memories. And we'll adorn his resting spot with all of our love and all of your love, with engraved rocks, and probably thinking of painting the engravings too. We'll see. And the beautiful maple tree.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some wildflowers.
Yeah.
So we can all be part of him together for always. And we're extremely grateful for all of your love and support throughout the years, and for being part of our family, and for loving Tidus along with us all those years and for always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys, and goodbye for now.